It's a brotherhood. And, we just talked about, are you a Marine? You're not a Marine. Gibbs got let out early, but he was a Marine.
What do you do when one of your brother Marines just isn't cut out to stay a Marine?
But there was no way my mom was going on that hog board. But I think the resolve, and I think that's what they're trying to get out of you in the Marine Corps, is that resolve.
And what do you do when your Marine drill sergeant demands that a picture of your mother is going to go up on the squad bulletin board? Hello, welcome to the Mighty Pen Podcast. I'm David L. Robbins, your host and founder of the Mighty Pen Project, a writing program for veterans and their spouses in partnership with the Virginia War Memorial Foundation here in Richmond, Virginia. In this podcast, I'll sit down with Joe Maslanka, author of today's two hilarious stories, Government Property and Hog Board. Joe spent 4 years in the Marine Corps. Now let's listen to Government Property, read by David Bridgewater, and then I'll sit down for an enlightened and enlivening conversation with Joe Maslanka.
Shoving $50 into her bra, we walk to Wysocki's truck. A misty rain floats through the illumination of the street lights. Steam rises off the blacktop. The smell of industry fills the air. Her tight red miniskirt hugs an hourglass figure bulging in spots. Fishnet stockings, heavy makeup, and a blonde wig completes her attire. Destiny, her working name, pokes her head into the truck. Okay, who needs a night of destiny? Well, that'd be me, ma'am, he says in his unhurried Alabama drawl. PFC Elbert T. Gibbs, lumpy, squat-built, red, bushy, flat-top haircut, pock-marked face, and Coke bottle glasses. Flashing a sheepish grin, he vacates the truck. The $50 is the result of a new initiative enacted by our platoon sergeant. We all donate a buck or two for the Marine who really needs to get some. Gibbs won the first vote unanimously. Destiny looks him up and down. Miss Destiny just remembered something she's got to take care of, baby. You come and see me tomorrow night, sugar. She hands the 50 back to me and disappears into the mist. Well, Gibbs, not tonight, brother. Not a lot of hookers out here. We best head back to Yorktown. We'll put the money back in the pot and try again in a couple of weeks. God, Mashevsky, I just been turned down by a prostitute. Oh, I'm a loser. Gibbs starts banging his forehead on the hood of the pickup. Wysocki propels his long, gangly body from the truck, grabs Gibbs, and jacks him to the hood. Hey, Gibbs, you're gonna dent the ride. Get your ass back in the truck. It's over, man. Entering the truck first, I scoot to the middle of the bench seat. With Gibbs in the passenger seat, we make our way onto I-64 West. Gibbs hangs his head out the window. I'm fiddling with the radio, settling on a station and turning up the volume on the new hit, our platoon theme song, Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party by the Beastie Boys. An extraordinary thrust of wind swirls through the truck. Gibbs starts to lean his body out of the moving vehicle. I cuff one hand on his web belt, the other behind his collar, and pull him back. Holy shit! Wysocki yells as he jams the brakes. The truck swerving to the side of the highway. Damn it, Gibbs! I will fuck you up. What the hell is your major malfunction, numbnuts? He rushes around the front of the truck and yanks Gibbs out, slamming him into the side of the truck. Gibbs is sobbing as Wysocki steps back with a look of concern and disgust. Turned down by a damn hooker. I'm a loser, Corporal. Why? Oh, God, I just want to die. You ain't dying on my watch, you crazy redneck. We force him into the middle seat and continue the journey back to the Naval Weapons Station. Assigned to the same room in our quad, Gibbs was easy to like. His all-shucks Southern demeanor, natural good nature were a sharp contrast to us, two hyped-up Yankees from Jersey. Gibbs would give you the shirt off his back, and he's far from dumb. He has solid command of the inner workings of our duties at the Naval Weapons Station. His weight and country corn vibe kill any progress in rank. He was busted back to PFC for failing to get under his weight limit and for taking over 27 minutes to run 3 miles during the last PFT. The base is already rattled from 2 recent suicides. One, when a lance corporal, on the verge of being busted for drunk driving, decided not to face his war-decorated father. With only 9 months left in the Corps, he swallowed the muzzle of his M16A1, blowing his brains out the rear window of a patrol truck. Later, a PFC from Michigan, in the Corps less than 8 months, went home on weekend leave and took his life with a pistol to the head. Nothing about the kid indicated he would do that. Wysocki and I decide to keep a lid on Gibbs's truck incident. Reflecting on the evening, we note how slowly he was leaning out of the truck and rationalized it as a cry for attention. Following the incident in Newport News, we worked through a 2-week rotation of guard duty. To cheer up our buddy Gibbs, we load up a cooler, beer, and take him to Yorktown Beach. We pile into the old truck. Wysocki calls it the Lockmobile, short for Polak, of which he and I are descendant. Proud and Polish. Our goal was to rub some of that northern ethnic pride into Gibbs. You over your shit, Gibbs? Been worried about you, I ask as the summer air blows through the truck, an invisible caress of freedom. Yeah, Mashevsky, I'm over it. I still don't know how I ever lived down getting rejected by a damn hooker. Quit beating yourself up, Gibbs. Maybe she had a business meeting with her pimp. Wysocki offers an assuring elbow to his ribs. He will forever own the middle seat. I ain't never made it with a girl. Figured I'd join the Corps and gals would be wanting me, man. Tried to talk to one at a club one night. She called me Hog Boy, walked away giggling with her friends. Humiliating. Maybe I am Hog Boy. Disgusting Hog Boy. Pulling into a parking space, Wysocki jams the brakes and turns toward Gibbs. Listen, you wacky hillbilly. We're here to have a good time. Check out the chicks, drink some brews, have some fun while we're still young. Don't bring me down, Albert. Got it? We decide to chug a beer and do a shot for every girl that steps onto the beach as we sit on the banks of the York River. Circled around a cooler of Schaefer beer like scuzzy-headed tribesmen around their idol, we pass Wysocki's flask of cheap bourbon. It's a busy day. We're getting ripped. 2 young local girls approach us and ask us if we'd share a few brews, which we do without hesitation. The conversation is light and flirtatious, uninhibited from the many Schaefers and the little sips of bad bourbon. We decide to take a walk with the girls. Gibbs looks depressed. He lays back on his towel as we pop over to the Yorktown pub with the bikinied Southern belles. After a couple of hours of macho posturing, teasing, and cocktails, one of the girls bums a buck for some music. She looks so fine, strolling to the jukebox. But when she selects If You Leave by Orchestral Maneuvers in the dark, I realize we've left a depressed PFC Gibbs baking on the beach with a cooler of alcohol. Oh, Big Lock, we gotta roll. What's your hurry, brother? Hey, man, Gibbs is on the beach alone, I say in a distraught whisper. Oh, fuck me. Ladies, it's been great, but we need to get back to our friend. We swapped phone numbers with them and agreed to meet back at the pub Sunday night. Wysocki and I double-timed back to our spot on the beach, and there, like a baked, beached baby whale, is PFC Gibbs, lobster red and passed out. Shaking his head, Wysocki sighs. Oh, it's going to hurt to wake him up. Man, he is burnt to a crisp. Holy shit. I take a knee next to Gibbs and begin tapping his cheek with the back of my hand. Gibbs, get up. His eyes crack open, squinting into the late afternoon sun. Oh, I'm fried, Mashevsky. How long you two been gone? Helping him up, we gather our stuff as Gib Frankenstein walks back to the truck. We stop by the drugstore and get a gigantic jar of Noxema. Wysocki and I each take one of Gibbs's arms over our shoulders and guide him to our quad. Wysocki starts an ice-cold shower. We push Gibbs in and he lets out a banshee scream. We throw him onto his rack, dripping wet, still wearing his bathing suit. We douse him in Noxema and leave him there to pass out. Monday morning formation, guard mount, and final inspection before going on duty. Captain Connolly, our Mustang platoon officer, is making his way through the ranks, displaying his usual charm and wit. Former enlisted, he looks like Poindexter with his birth control military issue prescription glasses. Spindly, when he arrived, his huge biceps have stirred up some rumor of steroid usage. What the fuck is that hanging out your nose? He questions a lance corporal toward the end of the formation. Looks like a nasty nose hair. A cockroach could rappel off that fucking nose rope. Clip that shit. The toughest thing about Captain Connolly's inspections is maintaining your composure as he berates and ranks on every discrepancy he uncovers, and he uncovers a lot. What the fuck? What am I looking at? Are you shitting me, Gibbs? I see 2 days growth. You're radiating like an ember. Your breath stinks. And I am about 2 seconds from going ape shit on your ass. Staff Sergeant, can you explain this bulbous fuck to me? Staff Sergeant Stanley Bird, an easygoing Marine Corps careerist, saunters towards the captain. He looks at Gibbs and gives a light chuckle. He pulls off his cover, scratches his faded, tight afro, places a hand on Gibbs's shoulder. What the hell happened, Gibbs? Oh, Staff Sergeant, well, Corporal Wysocki and Lance Corporal Mashevsky took me to the beach. I fell asleep, got burned pretty darn good. Captain Connolly intercedes. Did you say those two Polacks took you to the beach and left you there? Oh, no, sir. They didn't leave me. They went off for a bit, and I passed out. So, you were all drunk ass on the beach, and the 2 senior Marines left your sorry ass to fry. Is that what you're saying, Gibbs? Well, sir, My ass cheeks tighten. Wysocki cocks his head ever so slightly to flash me a peripheral look of horror. Hey, Wysocki, Mashevsky, get your Polak asses down here, the captain summons us. We hear the snickers as we double time to the end of the formation. Is this your jackass handiwork? Well, sir, we met these girls, and Gibbs sort of fell asleep on the beach, and Wysocki begins to stammer. Oh, we just hooked up with a couple of Jodies and left our platoon brother to sizzle like a freaking hot dog on a sandy grill. Is that what you're saying, Senior Man Wysocki? Well, sir, shut up, Wysocki. Here's how it's going to go down. I'm writing your asses up for destroying government property. Wysocki, because you're the senior man, you're getting an Article 15, and I hope to dock your pay. Your Pollock sidekick is getting a page 13 entry, and it won't be kind. Try to get around that, Mashevsky, when you're up for corporal. Get your asses back in formation. Captain Connolly turns towards Gibbs as we double time back to the front of the line. As for you, you disgusting, fat, burnt-up piece of shit, take your sorry ass to the infirmary and let the Navy docs diagnose your burns, because I can't have a grizzly, unshaven hillbilly on duty. Now get out of my face. We were concerned about Gibbs, but less so after the ass-chewing we all took from the captain. Captain Connolly had instilled the eye of the tiger in Gibbs. He doesn't want to kill himself. He just wants out. Already on the bubble for his weight, he's assigned to Pork Chop Platoon. This is an unkind moniker for an assemblage of overweight Marines from each guard platoon hanging on to their careers. The corporals take turn running them through PT and monitoring their weight. Friday weigh-ins reveal progress being made. And while 5 of the crew are dropping weight, Gibbs continues to go in the other direction. We know what he's doing, and we support him. As much as Wysocki and I hate to see him go, we know it's best for him. So we vow to start and end every night on the town at a fast food joint. Gibbs doesn't even get an opportunity to be tested in the next physical. After the 3rd weigh-in, he will get his general discharge. The Marine Corps decides to return their property. Wysocki and I see our friend off with a final drunk fest on the Yorktown beach. 3 months after his departure, and page 13 and all, I make corporal. I receive a congratulatory card postmarked Alabama. Gibbs includes a Polaroid, his arm around a plump blonde as she's kissing his cheek. He's flashing a wide grin. He signs the card, your friend and defective property, Gibbs.
That was Government Property, read by David Bridgewater, written by Joe Maslanka. Joe, in the Mighty Pen Project, which you've been a long-standing and frequent participant of, you have been a chronicler of these little corners of the Marine Corps that we don't hear much about. Government Property is an unprecedented look at barracks life, but it's also comradeship, right? It's also Gibbs is still a fellow Marine. What I loved about the story is the brotherhood of the Marine Corps. I've seen how other Marines have interacted with you in the class. I know you're in the studio with me now wearing a USMC sweatshirt. And the story is funny. I mean, it cracks me up. But at its core, this is a story about brotherhood and fellow Marines, yeah?
Absolutely. The story itself is a collage. It's a profound truth, right? And what you teach us. It's a collage of a lot of things that happen, pieced it together to make that story. But there was actually his name's not Gibbs, but there was actually a Gibbs that ate himself out of the Marine Corps and threw himself in fires, tried to throw himself out of cars. You name it. And I had him. I was the corporal that had him in that pork chop platoon. So I used to come off duty and have to take them around. But, it's a brotherhood. And, we just talked about, are you a Marine? You're not a Marine. Gibbs got let out early, but he was a Marine. He was a Marine. He got through boot camp. The guy endured physical and emotional torment for, probably longer than he should have. And one thing I had learned in boot camp, I was a guide in boot camp. I remember they called me in to the office, and I'm telling you this because this is the logic I put towards Gibbs, at the time when we were dealing with him. And he said, Maslanka, stand next to my desk. I want you to watch something. I want you to be a witness to something. I said, okay. So he calls this kid in, Dupeski. The kid's short. He looked like a troll, man. I mean, pimpled up face. He had to be like 17. I think he just turned 17.
Right.
And he brings him in and he's like, Dupesky, why are you here? Why are you being, oh, sir, I want to be a Marine. I want to be. Why, Dupesky? Look at yourself. You're disgusting. And I mean, it was like I'm standing there and I'm like half sad and I'm watching this kid just like mentally broke him down and he was gone. I mean, he was gone in a couple weeks and he told him, he says, get the hell out of here, Dupesky, go back to the platoon. And he turns to me and he says, you see that, Maslanka? I said, yes, sir. So he goes, I have an obligation to the Marine Corps to make sure that the right people, he had thrown out tons of people. I mean, in the 13 weeks I was there, we watched people come and go. And he said, I have an obligation to the Marine Corps to make sure that the right people are here. We knew Gibbs didn't want to, forcing him to be there was doing the Marine Corps disservice.
What are the right people?
I know everybody thinks that to be 6'4" and it's that. No, I mean, you have to endure and you have to have pride. And it's like, how much shit can we throw at you and not break you? And we all have to go through that same thing. And you get through that gauntlet and you're looking at brothers and you're looking at a family. I think I got more compassion in the Marine Corps than sometimes I got at home. I still got more stories to write. I think about some of the staff sergeants I had in Yorktown and some of the moments I went through as a young man that shaped me as a man, later shaped me as a leader, shaped me as I was just striving all the time, striving. And a lot of Marines are in there. We come from different backgrounds. We come from different cultures. We come from different parts of the country, but we all at the core of us are there for the same reason. I think at the beginning of Full Metal Jacket, the guy says, the phony tough and the crazy brave. Mm. And that was us. Yeah, and I still think that's Marines today. Just trying to find our manhood, our womanhood. Because I'll tell you, I'm tough woman Marines. Yeah. I've run into the colonel being one of them.
Yeah. We'll have Kathleen Harrison on, don't worry. Yeah, Colonel Kathleen. So you mentioned a moment ago, came from different backgrounds, different parts of the country, different makeups, yet you were forged into a cadre brotherhood. I was thinking while you were saying that, Joe, about the Mighty Pen, this writing program that we've all formed, that these stories come out of, this podcast comes out of. What brought you to the Mighty Pen? What millions of people serve? And every single person who serves is a story. Yeah. And most are epic in their way. You're a prolific writer. Talk to me about the desire to tell these stories. And if you would, I want the folks listening to know about the Mighty Pen and what we do and who we are. And it's best if it's described not by me, but by the men and women who take the class and who tell these stories. Walk us through why you came to the Mighty Pen and what it's meant to you.
We talked about that camaraderie in the Marine Corps, and I don't think it's not exactly the same, but I don't think I had ever felt anything close to that until I came to, not to say I didn't have great friends in bands I played in and all that stuff, but it was that military sharing that we did at the Mighty Pen. And I had no intention of joining the Mighty Pen. I was just doing a charity event for the Mighty Pen. And then Rachel Lanzi decides to meet me at a Starbucks and she starts telling me about the Mighty Pen.
Major Rachel Lanzi,
Yep.
JAG.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And we talked for 3 hours and she's pulling military story and she looks at me and she goes, Joe, we don't have any 80s era Marines. I'm like, what am I going to tell you, man? I said, I was South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia. I said, I'm sure you got stories. I'm sure. And I was intrigued. And then I came my first class, which you didn't teach. And then that was the big thing. Because the guy that told he was a nice guy, the guy from University of Richmond. But everybody kept saying, Dave Robbins, you got to be in Dave Robbins' class. So go to Dave Robbins' class sounded like going to boot camp. So I don't
deny it, by the way.
Yeah. So I had to experience that once I got in with that. And you sort of do what the Marine Corps does in a nicer, softer way, and humiliate us. And
in a nice, soft way.
Yeah.
So cadre. I know you well. I know you. What's great about the Mighty Pen is I know you men and women by your stories first. That's how we all know each other in this class. And that's how I hope our listeners will learn about service and this group of men and women that we have in our class and these stories is through these stories. But it's interesting that you talk a lot about brotherhood and being a guide. And you've always been a searcher, and your stories are all about searching. It's all about something incomplete. Gibbs was incomplete, and you guys strive to make him whole. You don't fit here, but where do you fit? Let's find your fit. And you, Joe, late in life, have become a pastor. And I think that's so in keeping with the character of man and the stories that I know of you, and you and I have become dear friends. But that segue to becoming a preacher, well, a pastor, make that link for me from Marine to pastor.
Well, you're right. It's searching. I had a different, religious experiences, but there was never a doubt in my mind that there's a God and that we're here to search. We're here to find, and lo and behold, if you're doing it right and you're moving forward, you're moving closer and closer to God. And he's the one with all the answers. And I'm still searching for those answers. And the first time someone approached me on that, I was really getting involved with the church, and I've been several different denominations, right? I just ended up back with the woman I married. She was a Methodist, and the Methodists had a great program to become a pastor. So I followed that. But when we were in the Episcopal church, because I was Catholic, my wife was Methodist, we said, okay, we'll raise our kids. We'll meet in the middle. We'll become Episcopalians. It's all God. At the end, it's all God. It's all Christ. So I joined this group, Disciples of Christ in Community, and we are taught to facilitate small groups. And, people come in and they would share their most intimate stories and stuff that happened in life. I know one was a woman who lost her 13-year-old son and drowned, who had drowned. And it was a woman reverend that came up to me, and I was like 46 or 47 at the time. She said, Joe, you ought to be a pastor. You should really be a pastor. You have it. And I said, are you kidding? I said, I'm too old. I drink. I curse. I said, she goes, that's all good stuff. And I didn't know what she meant. I didn't know what she meant at that time. And, pastoring to some of the folks I've been blessed to be with, and learning that the Marine Corps, the bar, the security company, it's all ministry, man. It's all.
Don't leave out the drinking and cursing. It's like, but your flock does these things.
That's correct. That's correct. And then you read the Gospels, and the thing that hurts the most, and we're not going to get into a whole religious thing here, is people are drifting away from the church, but they need to read the Gospels because Christ, no more beautiful story than the woman at the well. And you notice through the whole Gospels, Christ never condemns anyone. The woman at the well, the woman who's about to be stoned because she's an adulteress, he's harder on the hypocrite, on the hypocrisy. And I think that's what turns a lot of people off to the church. But you go to the church and you read the Gospels, and you find in that church broken people searching. We are all broken people searching.
We are all government property.
All government property, right?
Joe Maslanka, my brother, thank you.
Thank you.
Now our second story, Hog Board, also read by David Bridgewater. Then we'll talk some more with author Joe Maslanka.
Sunday, free time, Paris Island, South Carolina, the greatest hour of the week. 2 hours are reserved for church. The hour you don't attend services with your denomination is time spent in relative peace, sitting on a footlocker beneath the sharp glare of fluorescent lights. One may choose from any number of activities: spit-shining boots, catching up on mail, taking a leisurely shit. The possibilities are endless. The Catholics assemble first and are marched over to the sanctuary. Upon return, the Protestants fall in and lockstep across the blacktop to the circular structure we call church. I have no clue where the Jewish recruits go. All I do know is that the Protestants are off to the service, which means sitting here with the rest of my fellow Catholics. 1 hour, like an oasis of freedom in a desert of restrictions. It's our time. It's scarce. It's valuable. A few weeks back, some of the recruits figured out that if they sat still for church assembly, they could pull off double free time. I didn't partake in that. If ever there was a time to stay close to Jesus, this is the time. This is the place. Our senior drill instructor caught on pretty quick. We spent the next few weeks going to both services. You damn Protestants will go to Catholic church, and you asshole Catholics will go to Protestant church. You hear me? Sir, yes, sir. Poof. No free time. I have to admit, I dug the Protestant service. It was upbeat, good music, hopeful sermon by the Southern accented chaplain. I didn't like it enough to do 2 services every week, but appreciated the experience. This is 3rd Battalion H Company, Platoon 3311. 3rd Battalion has a history. Many years ago, a drill instructor marched his platoon through the swamps in the early morning darkness. Now, rumor has it several recruits drowned. This story is rehashed, especially when we assemble for early morning hump into the woods. Intimidating the first few times it's recounted. Now it's just part of the routine. Perfectly aligned bunks, what we call racks, line either side of the squad bay. The smell of bleach is an assault on your nasal cavities. We routinely scrub the decks and clean the heads with it. This long, narrow berthing area is home until we graduate. If all goes well, I may be at home to ring in 1985. I clutch to that dream. It propels me through the tough days. Sitting on my footlocker, a large olive drab wooden box holding all my essentials, I flip through pictures my mom sent from home. Minding my own business, I enjoy a moment of sentimental solace. I catch a pair of shiny black shoes parked in front of me. A shadow cast from the wide brim of a Smoky Bear cover. It's drill instructor Sergeant Hernandez. I turned 23 years old upon arriving at Parris Island, first week of September. Not as wide-eyed as some of my platoon, we older privates catch on to the obvious role each DI plays. Gunnery Sergeant Reams, our senior, plays the Big Daddy role. Sergeant Lane, who is preparing to become a senior DI, is the wise teacher. Staff Sergeant Newby is the no-nonsense practical instructor. Then there is the Dick, Sergeant Hernandez. He's a first-time DI. He plays the heavy. He plays it well. I mean, they all screw with us to some degree, but Sergeant Hernandez seems to revel in it. One evening, he had us pull our toothbrushes, pass them around, stopped us mid-pass, and told us to brush. Brilliant. There was the time somebody forgot to flush. Hernandez emerged from the head, turd in hand. He flung it down the deck of the squad bay, then had us lie on our bellies while scrubbing the deck. Never did find out who retrieved the turd. Another of his favorites is to bait you into a conversation, get you relaxed, then steer the chit-chat to a subject that will always piss him off. This leads to an excuse to screw with the chosen conversationalist, or just take it out on the entire platoon. At 23, just joining the Corps, things had gone awry back home. College didn't pan out. I wanted no part of the family bar business, although, as a kid, my father's weekly inspections of my floor and bathroom scrubbing, along with the occasional verbal abuse, prepared me well for Parris Island. I can't wait to thank him. I spent the past 4 years chasing a dream to become a rock star. It ended in a blur of drunken nights, bad decisions, and the eventual breakup of the band. The Marines are my shot to reset. I am determined not to screw this up. I am coming out of here with something. No heavy is going to mess that up. So I either take his shit with vigor or keep my head down. Right now, during this most sacred of hours in a wasteland of miserable weeks, his heaviness is an infringement on my free time. What the fuck you looking at, boy? I stand at attention. Sir, pictures from home, sir. Oh, no shit. Well, let old Sergeant Hernandez have a look. He snatches the stack of pictures from me and begins to rifle through them. Why are all these people in a bar? You an alcoholic? Sir, no, sir. My father owns a bar, sir. Oh, well, that must have been some kind of deal growing up, huh? Sir? Yeah, drink whenever you want, party all the time. Why the fuck you leave that for this, boy? I know he's baiting me. My ass cheeks tighten in hopes of I'd give a satisfactory answer. Sir, to join the Marine Corps. He holds his hand to my face. Who's this blonde? Sir, that is this private's mother, sir. This is your mom? Holy shit. We got to show this to the senior drill instructor. I follow Sergeant Hernandez about 20 paces to the DI quarters. Senior drill instructor, have you seen this? He places the picture on the desk. Oh, who's this hot Jody? You ready for this? This is old Private Mashevsky's mom. You're shitting me. Sir, no, sir. That is this private's mother, sir. At ease, Mashevsky. Listen up. We're going to make you proud. I want your mom's picture up on the Hog Board. The Hog Board, a.k.a. the Motivation Board, is a large rectangular bulletin board that hangs in the upper right corner of our squad bay, just outside the DI quarters. It holds pictures of hot girlfriends and or female acquaintances from back home. On that rare occasion that we perform well, we are allowed to line up and one by one get a few seconds in front of the Hog Board. It can be motivating. I have held the vision of a few bikini-wearing babes sent to our Florida contingent in the dark crevices of my mind. There is no way my mom is going to provide those thoughts to anyone in Platoon 3311. Sir, no, sir. This private's mother's picture will not hang on the Hog Board, sir. Sergeant Hernandez storms into my face like a pit bull on a T-bone. The man is a human pit bull. Squat body with a huge head. If he weighs 160, his skull has to be at least 50 pounds of that. Who the fuck do you think you are, boy? I will rip out your fucking throat. You don't say no to my senior drill instructor. Now take this picture and hang it on that Hog Board before I stomp you to dust. Sir, no, sir. That's it. Sergeant Hernandez, take his ass to the quarterdeck. Make him dig. With pleasure, senior drill instructor. He pushes the brim of his cover into the bridge of my nose. All I see is the top of his cover. He brings his voice to a sadistic whisper. Oh, you're all mine, Mashevsky. When I'm done with you, we'll be mopping up what's left of you into a bucket. He pulls his head back, rises on his toes, shoves a finger into my face, and raises his voice to a sonic pitch. Now get your ass to the quarterdeck! There are two places you never want to be in Paris Island. One is the pit, a large sandbox that can accommodate an entire platoon. They are found everywhere throughout the battalion grounds. A pit stop is made to get your mind right. We are mobbed there for high cardiovascular exercise, humiliation, and flea bites we never dare slap or scratch. The other is the quarterdeck, a lonely stretch of cold cement floor between our bunks and the DI quarters. It is reserved for those who piss off a DI. Sergeant Hernandez specializes in the quarterdeck, as he seems to be perpetually pissed off. He keeps me waiting there, standing at attention, taking his time to come from the quarters. No one dares to stare unless they want to join me. They just go about their free time routines with the goal to wear my ass out. Sergeant Hernandez storms out of the quarters. He sports a serious look of determination. I, too, am determined. This is one battle of wills which will not be conceded. He's not going to break me. My mind is made up. Screw this big-headed fuck. Dig! Sir! Aye, aye, sir! I drop to the floor, hands on the deck, ass semi-protruding toward the ceiling, and I begin pulling alternating knees to my chest. Faster! Faster! Push-ups! Jumping jacks! On your back! Leg raises! Hold it! Hold it! He continues an onslaught of commands like some fitness instructor from hell. My heart is pounding. Sweat begins to pour from my face. You are fucking up my beloved quarterdeck with your nastiness. You will swab your disgusting sweat if you don't die first. You hear me? Sir, this private will not die, sir. Oh, now you're going to tell me what you're going to do? I'll tell you if you'll die or not. You hear me, boy? Sir, yes, sir, I say between gasping breaths. The routine goes on for the remainder of free time. Driven by love and family pride, I keep pace. My heart pounds as though it will explode from my chest. The Protestants are returning. Just when he thinks I'm broken, he stops me to ask if I'm ready to pin my mother's picture to the Hog Board. But my will to refuse does not die, will not die. He digs me even harder. Push-ups! Up, down, slow! Hold it! Hold it! Do I see your arms quaking? Sir, no, sir! You keep holding it, boy! Senior drill instructor, I think old Mashevsky might be ready to reconsider. I hear the tapping of the senior's highly polished shoes approaching. He stands above me as I hold my half push-up. Pain tears through my arms. Gunnery Sergeant Reeves bends to place my mother's picture under my face, sweat dripping onto her smiling image. You ready to hang this picture and share motivation with your platoon, boy? Sir, no, sir. This private's mother's picture will not hang on the hog board, sir. You disrespecting me, boy? His voice barrels through the berthing area like a freight train. I can hear the rustling of my platoon come to a quick silence. Sir, no, sir. 'Cause you're pissing me off. You know that, don't you? Do you need more quarterdeck, asshole? Sir, bring it on, sir. He stands there in a brief moment of silence. My arms shake, my chest heaves, perspiration flows from my face. My t-shirt is sopping wet. Pick up your picture, Mashevsky. Stand the fuck up. He holds two fingers to my face. You have 2 fucking weeks to get me a hog board worthy picture, or I will kill you next time. You hear me, boy? Sir, yes, sir. He leans to my right ear and whispers, you have 10 minutes to get your ass to the payphones and call home. Get me a picture. If you don't, I will dig your ass to hell. Understood? Sir, aye, aye, sir. Double time, scumbag! I run through the squad bay, down the steps, hitting the walkway. I burst upon the bank of payphones like Walter Payton to the end zone. My hand is shaking as I jam my finger into the dial to get a collect call home. Mom, Mom, I don't have much time. Oh, God, Jojo, I don't believe it. Joe, our son's on the phone. Mom, listen, you got to do me a favor. I rapidly explained the situation. Without hesitation, without question, we'll take care of it. I dart back to the barracks, arriving without fanfare. Next Sunday, free time. I rip into an envelope to find a picture from home. A topless woman sits on top of the washing machine in the utility room of my dad's bar. She's a regular. I'm sure she drank free that night. I present it to my senior drill instructor, smiling. You did a good job, Mashesky. He tells me the picture isn't right for the Hog Board. He is placing it in the motivational manual. I had no idea this even existed. It's a special photo album residing in the bottom left drawer of his desk. He allows me to quickly thumb through it. It's like an amateur penthouse magazine. He snatches it from my hands, throws it into the drawer, and locks the desk. Get the fuck out of here, Mashesky! A few days later, I am promoted to platoon guide.
I'm joined by Joe Maslanka, author of Hog Board. Joe, the question veritably leaps. How hot was your mom?
Oh, I can't answer.
Come on, man. Put her on the Hog Board.
Well,
Give me 10.
oh, yeah. Yeah. I can tell you when I was a kid, they would go, oh, is that your sister? Is that? And I'd go, that's not my sister. That's my mom. I'd get all upset. I'd be like 7 or 8 years old. She's 82 now. She looks like she's about 70.
Yeah. Your mom's a lovely woman.
Yeah.
Great person. All right. So, Hog Board, you refuse. The point of these drill instructors is to make you a Marine. What were they doing? I mean, when they challenge you to put your mother's picture up on the Hog Board, it's not really what they're doing. How do you make a Marine this way?
Test the metal. I don't know though, man. They were so weird. They probably would have put the picture up on a board. And
you think that was in doubt?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they
would have put it up.
There were sisters up on that Hog Board. But there was no way my mom was going on that Hog Board. But I think the resolve, and I think that's what they're trying to get out of you in the Marine Corps, is that resolve. And when they saw I had that, like I said, I was the platoon guide. But they're testing your mettle. Believe me, that was not my intention to earn points with the drill instructors. I really believe they wanted to put that thing up there, and there was no way it's going to happen. If it would come down to me fighting it. Now, I'm 22 in the Marine Corps. I'm not 17. Myself and 2 other guys, we were older. We all went in together from Pennsylvania, and they actually called us in and said, "Look, we know you're a little older, but they got to you. Oh, they got to us." But we, for a while there, we thought, "Oh, yeah, we're good. We can get through all this." But boy, yeah, there's some moments. Yeah, some moments in there.
Okay, I have to ask. My mom was not an unattractive woman. I'd have put her up there in a minute, and I love my mom.
Yeah,
but you said there were sisters up there. Why not your mom?
Because I know personally, when we got to get in front of the Hog Board, something hits your fancy, you would take that, you're taking that to the rack at night. And, you're not gonna do anything, but but the thoughts are very pleasant.
I love that line in the story. There's no way my mother's going to provide those thoughts for somebody.
That's right. That's right. I know how I thought. I know some of the discussions around some of those pictures on the Hog Board. My mom was not going to be one of those discussions.
Talk to me about the making of a Marine, though. I mean, the Hog Board had a place in that, but the making of a Marine. And we've had in the Mighty Pen a lot of Marines, and I'm going to ask this question. There's something specific about the Marine Corps. What is it that makes the Marine Corps, in your feeling, so different from the other services?
All the services are a brotherhood, but there's just something about, I don't want to take away from anybody that was in another branch of the service, but boot camp is really, I think, boot camp and the mentality. Give you an example. I had a guy worked for me in Miami, Florida, and he was in the Air Force. And I had a woman that was the recruiter. She was in the Marine Corps. This was all during Iraq breaking out. And we're like, yeah, send them bastards come over here. We'll kick their ass. And me and the woman are start talking. And he says, y'all Marines can do that thing that you do. I'll be in the back, take care of the paperwork. It's just this mentality they place in you. Oh my gosh. I mean, look, I'm just sitting here with the USMC shirt on. You never lose it. It's a hazing that you're proud to have been through. You get to the end and you get into your life, and it never leaves you. And they told us that on the way out. Those of us that got out, I remember the first sergeant met with us. He said, "You're never going to stop being Marines. Never going to do it." And the only thing that I saw that was, different when I speak to somebody from another branch of service, when you're in Paris Island, that's it. You're there. You don't leave. You don't go anywhere. I know guys in the Army had free time and time off, or they could leave their training. We can't, man. We live it. They instill it in you. Again, not to detract from anybody, but I think there's just a difference in the Marine Corps that it's a brotherhood aside from whether you fought in a war or you've felt like you've come through something. You've endured something that a lot of people wouldn't endure. And believe me, I saw a lot of people couldn't endure it and walked out, especially during Paris Island. So it's something special. And like I said earlier, you don't appreciate that. I wouldn't be sitting here vice president of a company. I probably wouldn't be a pastor. I probably wouldn't be the Marine Corps. My father a little bit growing up, and then the Marine Corps really planted. In fact, to the point where I became a workaholic. I sat on a gurney. I had blood clots. I had them all over me. I was about 42 years old. So if you'd have got on a plane tonight, you wouldn't have got off. And that changed me, but that drive, sitting there and refusing to come to grips that I couldn't breathe. I'm still working out. I'm still running on a treadmill outside. Guys look at me and said, how are you still sitting here? Why are you not dead? And that drive comes from being a Marine.
You have mentioned, and I know you became a man of the cloth fairly late in life. How is a Marine pastor different from a non-Marine pastor? What's the Marine Corps infuse into your pastoral work?
I'm going through the board, the United Methodists, they call it DCOM. I would go in there and they would read some of my sermons. One of the sermons had to do with that incident in the Marine Corps. And, oh my goodness, do you still drink? No, not like that. And I kept failing. I would go and it was a real blow to the ego. So I had a district superintendent at the time who he had flown jets in the Navy. He asked to see me, and he has been a big, big help for me as a pastor, right? And he calls me down to the office and he says, "Joe, look, you're a Marine. I get it." He said, "I work with Marines. I was in the Navy." He said, "But let me remind you, you're becoming a United Methodist pastor. Soften the thing." And he says, "I know," he goes, "God knows what they do to you in there." That he said that here you are 50 some years old and you still have that Marine thing in you. I could see it. He said, "I knew it the first time I met you." He said, "I could see that Marine thing in you." He actually came to me and put me in charge of a couple of small churches as a lay person. They call lay supply pastor, and serving others really softened me. Didn't take the Marine out of me. I know my mom came to a sermon one time and I said something in the sermon and she just started cracking up, and somebody said, "Well, your son is really different as a pastor." And she goes, "That's a Marine pastor." She goes, "You got a Marine pastor up there now." I think Marine or not Marine, people are broken and searching. I'm broken and searching. The people I lead are broken and searching. The people from my security company are broken and searching. And the fact that we know that and we can share those experiences that we've had, whether it be the Marine Corps or business or charity or whatever you've experienced in life, God wants us to share those moments with other people and to stand up there and pretend, yeah, here I am, your pastor, and oh, I don't do this and I never did that. No, I want to share them. I want to share those experiences with people because I know they're struggling with the same things. Whether you're young, old, you're struggling with something. That's what appeals to me. And the Marine Corps, they did that for me. They knew they had a broken 20-some-year-old guy. And some of the things they told me, I told people through managing them, supervising them. and showing a little compassion with a little bit of not mommy coddling. It's a tough compassion, but sometimes it's an out and out compassion.
Joe, thank you for sharing with the Mighty Pen podcast, our audience, and for several years now with me. Thank you.
Love the Mighty Pen. Love you, man. Thank
Semper Fi, bro.
you. You got it.
The Mighty Pen Project is a free writing program for military veterans offered by the Virginia War Memorial Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit. Folks, if you'd like to learn more about the Mighty Pen or sign up for one of our writing classes on Zoom, or just send us your thoughts, email us at mpodcast@vawarmemorial.org or use the link in the podcast description. If you want to read today's stories and many more, use the link to the Mighty Pen archive. And if you enjoy this podcast, please share it. Music for this episode was provided by David L. Robbins. If you'd like to support the Mighty Pen, follow the charitable donation link in the podcast description. I'm David L. Robbins, and I want to thank you for listening to the Mighty Pen podcast. It's an honor.